Hey guys, have a fun activity for you today. We are going to recreate a billboard that is sitting just off the side of the road on 378 between I-20 and the hospital. I pass it on a regular basis, and I thought it'd be a pretty cool example for our Illustrator portion of this class. So we're going to recreate everything you see in this billboard right here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create all the vector graphics in Illustrator first, and then we'll jump over to Photoshop to recreate all this and bring that over to Adobe Illustrator. So go ahead and let's go out to Schoology, because you're going to need to download a handful of pictures. So go to Schoology, and once there you will see a picture of a lawyer, a mirror, and a sunset, and the sample picture right there I just had on my desktop. So download all of those so you have access to them. And then go ahead and jump into Illustrator. And we're going to create a new document. So let's go to Create New. And we are going to make this 1/10 of the size. So I'm going to hit Create New. And we are going to make the width 36 inches wide. And we're going to make the height 14 inches wide. Our final billboard, if we were to take this to the print shop, is going to wind up being 36 feet wide by 14 feet tall. We're not going to take it to that step, but we're going to develop everything we need to get it to that point. So that is our width, 36 inches by 14 inches. So 36 inches wide. Make sure it's in inches, 14 feet or 14 inches tall. Color mode we're going to go with is CMYK, because if we're setting this up for the print shop, that's the color mode we want. And we want 300 pixels per inch, so go with the high raster effect. So hit create, and we're going to get a document that looks like this. And I have the sample image on my phone, so I'll have to reference that every so often just to make sure I get the right result. Okay. A couple things I want you to remember. I'm going to give you specific color codes for the blue and the gold colors we're going to use throughout this this activity, and I'm also going to give you specific font styles to use. Okay, so make sure you're using those. I went through and figured out which ones matched closely to save you a lot of time. So let's go ahead. We're going to create our blue rectangle at the top. So let's go ahead and get our shape tool right there. And we're going to use our color fill right there. So double click the color fill. And once you get that, you're going to use the following code right here. So right there in the number sign. For our blue, we're going to go 191 F4E. So that's 191 F4E. And when we hit OK, it's going to make that a really dark blue. And then I'm going to go to my stroke right there and eliminate the stroke. So I have a dark blue fill. And if I look at the sample picture on my phone, I'm going to start at the top left portion of this billboard, drag to the right, and I'm just eyeballing this. It's a little less than halfway down, so I'm saying right about there is what we got to work with. So that's the dark blue we're going to go with, so make sure you use that color code. The other thing we're going to create is, if you look closely on this billboard, there is a gold bar that runs just below the blue one. So let's go ahead and recreate that now. Let's see, I'm going to use the pen tool for this, so let me get my pen tool right there. And I don't want to fill, so there's going to be no fill. And I want that gold stroke. So when I click on, I'm going to double click on that gold stroke right there, or the stroke right there. And the color code we're going to use here is D as in dog for AF37. So that's D for AF37 right there. And when I hit OK, you'll see I have a gold stroke that is right there. All right, so let me zoom in one time. That's too, I can't do that. Close this. All right, so I need to place my first anchor point right there, and then go straight across and attach my second anchor point right there. And I have a gold stroke, but I can't see it, it's too small. So let me go to my properties over here. So if you're on the layers, go to your properties, go to your stroke right there, and let's take this up to, let's take it up to 15. Okay, 15 is the number we're going to go with. So when I look at that, I now have a stroke on that pen tool with this 15. And that might be a little high. Let me go ahead and select it again. Let me take that down to, let me take it to 10. Okay, so it's not so pronounced. All right, so we got the blue, we have the gold stroke on that line right there to create that. Now we're going to create the text that's at the top. So make sure you're using the fonts I give you here. So I'm going to go to my text tool, and once I click on my canvas anywhere, it's going to give me the options bar up here. The font style I want to go with right here is going to be Impact. So hit your drop down there, go to Impact. All right, and we're going to start at 72 points right there, and we'll just leave it as regular for right now. So I'm going to type, what does it say? I got to look at my example, sorry guys. All right, so it's, let me go to the fill color right here. The text color here is going to be gold, so we're going to go back to our gold text color. So I clicked on the fill right there to bring this box up. If you click up here, it won't work correctly, so you got to go to the fill of the text. And the number we're going to type in there is D4AF37. So that's D4AF37. I hit OK, and that's that gold font I want. And now I'm just going to type capital A, lowercase u, lowercase t, lowercase o, and then capital A, and all lowercase letters for the accent, and I believe it's question mark as well. So, all right, so auto accent, that's what we want right there, and we're simply going to resize this so it's the focal point up here. So people know when they drive by, I've got a lawyer that wants my business if I've been an auto accent, okay? So auto accent right there, we'll just leave it as it stands right there, and we'll move it if we need to in a little bit. So we have auto accent there. We're going to click off that because we're going to use our text tool again. And this time we want our fill color to be white. So I'm just going to hit the reset to black and white, click on my stroke and choose no stroke. All right, so for this font, it's not going to be the same as Impact. So let me just click on my canvas right there. And first thing I need to do is go to the correct font. So I'm going to go to a source sans variable. So scroll down till you see source sans variable right there. And when you choose that, you want to go from a regular font style to a semi-bold. So choose semi-bold. So source sans variable, semi-bold. Font color is going to be white and no stroke. And I gotta bring my phone back up because it wants to go sleep on me. It's going to say help is closer than it appears. Okay? All right, it's just going to be like that. And I'm going to adjust the size just a little bit to be similar to what's there. And if I need to adjust the location on the canvas or the size of the font that's up there, I may need to do that as well. Okay? So that's what I have so far, and it's starting to mimic what we have in our example. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to recreate the text that's here where it says the Stanley Law Group. All right, so for the word the, I'm going to change my text again. So let me make sure that text is not selected. I'm going to my text tool. And we're going to put the text color for this, we're going to make that blue color. So we're going to go font color right there. It's going to be 191F4E to get that blue font. And I hit OK, and I've got that dark blue font there. And this is where I'm going to type the word the, but I need to choose the correct font style. So I'm going to click on my canvas, and I'm going to get the correct font, which is going to be a source code variable, which is slightly different than what we just had. So source code variable. This one's also going to be semi-bold, and every letter in the word the is going to be capitalized. So THE, all capitalized. And we're going to reposition this, right about there. Actually, let me try this not semi-bold. I like not semi-bold. All right, so I think my notes had a slight error on it. And I don't know why the font color jumped on me to black. So let's go ahead and fix that font color. So I got to go in there and go 191F4E, and then hit OK. Now I'm that blue color I want. Okay, I'm good. All right, so I've got that font there. I need to type the word Stanley underneath that, so I'm getting my text. This is going to be source serif, a slightly different font. So let me click on my canvas. I'm going drop down here. I'm looking for source serif variable right there. So source serif variable. And this is going to be semi-bold. So, oops, my mouse isn't working. Why is it not working? All right, so semi-bold right there. And we're going to type the word all capital letters, Stanley, L-E-Y. And let me select it and change that font color to that dark blue. So double click that. And the font color is going to be 191F4E. And we're going to hit OK. All right, so we've made that blue. Now we just need to adjust the size. So looking at my example I have on my canvas, I need to adjust the size. Be slightly big there. And we'll just get close here. And then finally underneath that it's going to say law groups. So that font should be the same as what we had at the top. So that was source code variable. So get your text tool, click underneath Stanley, and type, make sure you have source code variable, that one. We went with regular, and you're going to type in all capital letters, law group. Why this external mouse stopped working on me. There we go, it's working again. All right, so law group, I'm going to make sure it's the correct font color, so I select it, and then I'm going to my fill right here, and in my color code, I'm going to type 191F4E, and it should give me the correct blue color, and then I need to reposition that so it's centered, okay? And you can use your arrow keys to fine tune it. All right, so now I'm going to recreate, let me go just a little farther left. All right, and I need to size this down a little bit. These two should be the same size, so let me take care of that right now. So, all right, let me take that to, let me just go with a 60 font size right there, so 60. I'm going to do the same thing with that up there, so let me select that one. That needs to be 60 as well. All right, so now those texts are the same font size, and it looks much more professional that way. Okay, so we have that. And we need to use our pen tool to create a couple lines. So as soon as I get this centered, I'm going to use my arrow keys to kind of center that above the N. That looks good to me. All right, I'm going to use my pen tool. So I'm going to grab my pen tool with no stroke, or actually I want that blue on the stroke. So in this case, I'm just going to flip these around, and my mouse quit working again. All right, so I have that dark blue as the stroke color, and that's what I want. So I'm just going to create a line there, and a line there. Go to my properties, and adjust the size of this font up. Let me go to 5 for the font stroke size. So I've got a font of stroke size of 5. Let me click off that. All right, so I have that line right there, and maybe down just a tad. And I need to use the same tool to create a line on each side, but I need to move this up just a little bit. That looks better. Now on each side of these letters, I'm going to do the same thing. So pen tool, I'm going to go there, there, and we're going font size of 5. And I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. So with my pen tool, I have the same thing already. So stroke of 5, and that's what I'm left with. So I have my text is beginning to be set up there. And then we need to do call today. So the phone number we're going to put over here is, let's go impact. So we just click on that. We're going to go impact style of font. And we're going to use that dark blue color. So double click that. You're going to go 191 F4E and hit OK. Gives you that dark blue for the font color. And you're going to type the words call today. Oops, can't spell today. In all capital letters. And then I'm going to go back and adjust the font size. Actually, I don't like that font style right there, so let's change it. Let's go with source codes, source sans variable. Let's see what that one looks like. So source sans variable, and let's change it to semi-bold. I like that. Okay, call today. Let's center that right there. And I don't think I have the exact font. Let me try one more. What would source code look like? It'll work. I mean, I probably should. Let me do this. I'm going to jump to my. No, I'm not going to do that. Call today. Let's just squeeze this together a little bit, like that. We'll still with the dark blue, and I'm going to pull up my example again. Call today, and then click off that, and we're going to give a phone number. And unfortunately, I don't have the entire phone number, so I'm going to have to make one up. Text tool, that, and we're going to put the gold font for this. So double click the fill color, and you're going to type the following code in. If I get to come up, we're going to type in D4AF37 and hit OK. And we're going to 803. Put it down there. Let's do, 803. Let's go 111 1111, because I know that's not a real number, and I don't want to give you a number where somebody's real number you'd be calling them up. All right, so let me select all that text right there and change it back to the correct color code because it jumped on me. So that's D4AF37. And I am going to make the font style here. I'm going to make that impact because it looks impact to me. And then stretch it out just a little bit as well. Alright, and he has an address on his sign, so we'll do that. We'll just use the school address here. So let's just go with a source sans variable font. So just click on down here and source sans variable, and we'll just go regular, and we're going to change this to that blue color. So I want you to type 191F4E. We're in that blue color, and we're just going to type 5643 plat. Actually, we're not going to capitalize plat. Oops, 73. All right, so that is the address. We obviously need to size that down. I think we need to move everything over so it's somewhat centered. How does that look? look. That looks okay to me. All right, so we have the basic billboard done. Now we just got to bring in the image we're going to create in Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and save this at this point. So File, Save As. And I'm going to call this, I have a billboard folder already. I'm going to call it Stanley. Hit save. And let's hit save again. Alright, so I have that. Let me go to Photoshop here. And I don't know why my external mouse is not working. It's driving me nuts. No, it's working now. Alright, so we're going to, let's just go to open. Go to open. And we're going to open up the picture of, let's do the, let's go mirror. Alright, so we need to make some adjustments to this mirror. So let's unlock the background layer. Let's go ahead and select the white background right there. And let's just hit the delete key at this point, because we're going to come back and use mask in a second. So we've got the mirror. Now we need to transform it so it's it's facing the other way. So go to Edit on the menu bar, go halfway down to the word transform, and let's choose flip horizontal. So that was Edit, Transform, flip horizontal. This mirror is now facing the other direction, which is what we want. We also need to rotate this up just a little bit. So with your move tool, click Show Transform Controls, go just outside the bounding box, and let's get it so it's fairly horizontal right there. Okay, so we have what we want, and we're not going to use any of this part of the mirror over here. So what I'm going to have you do is just let's don't mess with that yet. Okay, that looks fine. You don't have to do this. I want to be in a different workspace. So that looks fine. Let's go ahead and bring the image of the lawyer in. So let's go to File. Let's choose Place Embedded, which embeds the file into this file itself. So we're going to bring in the picture of the lawyer. And just like we did, let's make it a little bigger. We might have to adjust this a little. No, make it smaller. Sorry. Hold Shift as you're sizing it down so it maintains the aspect ratio. Alright, so we have that how we want it, but we need him facing the other direction. So let's go to Edit on the menu bar and Transform, and let's flip this horizontally again so he is now facing the other direction. Alright, we also want to, let's do it this way. Okay, go ahead and hide the lawyer right now. So hide the lawyer, go down and make the mirror layer active. Once this is active, get your, we go quick selection tool, and make sure your brush is big enough. Make sure you have Add To, because we want to select this area of the mirror. So with the quick selection tool, the plus button, I selected that area of the mirror. Now let's simply go up and make this lawyer layer active and visible. And now we're simply going to mask away. So hit your mask button right there. Does that make sense? All right, good. All right, so we have this area around the lawyer we need to get rid of. Let's see if our magic wand tool will work. So go to your magic wand tool, and tolerance of 45 should work. And I'm just going to click on, I guess select the thumbnail right there. And I'm going to click on the gray area outside the attorney. And that should, and then with your Add To button, let's do the same thing over here. All right, so it has selected all that gray area, right? That's what we want. So now let's go back to our mask, and on the mask you can just get your paintbrush with the color black, make sure it's big enough, and we just click over the top of this attorney one time. It's going to fill our selected area with black pixels, and that hides the gray that was there. It's good, that's what we want there. Now let's go ahead and let's place the picture of the sunset there as well. So I got a picture of the sunset. All right, that looks fine. All right, let me reduce the opacity here for positioning reasons, and I bump it up just a little bit. All right, so with my sunset, I'm gonna size that down a little bit because I only want the sky to be in the background, right? Size it down some more, and I lost my mouse again. All right, because all I want is the sunset in the background, so it looks nice and pretty. That's what I have. Let me take my opacity up to 100% now, and commit the change right there and just hide this layer. All right, I'm going to do the same thing with the sunset that I did with the mirror. So I'm going to hide the layer as well. So I have my mirror layer active. I'm going to get my quick selection tool, and I'm going to select this part of the mirror. All right, so now I have that area selected. I'm going to my sunset layer, make it an active, and going to mask away anything that's not there, right? Let me drop this opacity down just a tad so it's not so much. So that's down to 84, that's fine. Now let me take this layer, oops, let me hide some stuff in my layer panel so I can see more. Okay, so let me drop this layer between those two right there and show the lower layer, and that's what I'm left with there. Let me take this, bump this down a little bit more. Too much. I might have to add, I need to add an adjustment layer of some sort to this. Let me try hue saturation. All right, so a hue saturation, and we're just going to make sure, and I want to clip it to this layer only. So let me hit this downward facing arrow. This will clip this adjustment layer to this layer only. So if I hit that, it's clipped to that only. And let me try some, no, that doesn't look good. Okay, that looks better. That makes him more pronounced. So I bumped the hue up, I dropped the saturated rate, there's saturation down. I may have done a little too much. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. And I'm satisfied with that. So let me go ahead and hide my properties panel at this point. And what I'm going to do now is save this entire document as almost as a PNG. Let me go here. I don't want this to show up at all, so I'm just going to erase that. I won't want any of that either. All right, so I should be able to get away with that. Let me go ahead and save this as a PNG because the PNG will maintain the transparent background. So let's go to File, Save As, and we're going to change our file format to PNG. So we need to do that as a copy. So go to Save As, Save Copy. And mine's going to go in my Billboard folder. It's going to be a PNG file format right there to maintain the transparent background. And I'm going to hit Save. And that's fine. Now let me go over to my Illustrator, and this is where I'm going to bring in that image. So File, and we're going to Place. Where's my place? Can't see anything. There it is. All right, so lower mirror copy is what I called it. All right, so I have my picture of the Stanley Law Group. I'm going to resize this, holding the Shift key so I don't mess it up. It's too big. All right, so I have that done. Now, if I was going to, now when I save this document and print it, it's not going to include the mirror that's off the artboard. Now, if I was actually going to print this, send this to the printer, I would have to do a much better job with this initial mirror selection there. So let me see if I can go clean that up just a little bit. So let me go back to my Photoshop document, and it's this one right here. So let me see if I can use my paintbrush with white on it, and I'm going to bump the size down just a little bit because I need to ensure Alright, that looks a lot cleaner there. I'm fine with that, so let me go and save this again and bring it over, because that's right there a little bit as well. Alright, so I was just holding shift as I clicked in two different spots. That paints back those pixels to make it much clearer, so let me go to File, Save As, and we're going to save this as a copy again. File format's going to be PNG. Save, and yes, we want to replace it, and hit OK. Now I can go back to Illustrator. Alright, let me select that, just delete it, and bring that picture in again. So File, Place, and it's going to be mirror copy. Place it there. And resize it where it looks good, and that looks good to me. So now if I was to zoom out, and let me just save this as a different format, so save as, let me save it as an SVG, and hit save, hit OK. Let me see if I can open that up now. So alright, so that's what's pulling up here. Alright, so you're good to go if you're here. If you don't like it showing like that, you can go back and modify that in Photoshop, bring it to that point, but I'm not going to do that. So alright guys, take a screenshot today, take a screenshot of what you created. Make sure all your layers are visible right there like mine are, and submit that as your document into Schoology. Alright, hope you had fun. Take care.